Some small businesses can't afford a directory listing, but they have skills and they have talent. Their talent matches the hard work and the know-how. Their workplace can be from the kitchen or a van. The business might be set up in a home or a garage. You don't find these providers listed in a book directory, but you can find them on EQICaribbean.com, the online tool you'll need to search for products and services. Because as long as you are searching, we'll be here to list them.
And it's us here again, court in session. I'm here with the two Avengers, Tehron King and I can't remember his name, but he named Kelan Phillips. And the Bajan Scout, that is Alan Pinder. Any NBA stuff you want, just hit the Bajan Scout. He'll put you right. I mean, sometimes he'll be wrong too, but he's be more right than he's be wrong. Anyway, there's nowhere to be but with court in session. And right now we are going to go straight to Tehron King Avenger number 1 in the East. We see a lot of problems having, a lot of teams having problems in the East and the West. So we'll go to the East. Tehron, you're up first. What's happening in the East?
Well, the biggest problem that has been riddling the NBA the last 2 years is the same problem that a lot of the East teams, especially the top East teams, are rather the better East teams, I should say, are having. Injuries, people not being available, certain key players not being available in key moments. Let's start. Who should we start with here? Let's start with the Cavs. The Cavs are missing Jared Allen. They have been for a while. Evan Mobley apparently sprained his ankle. This just in, and they slipped straight into the play-in, taking the Raptors out of the play-in tournament. That annoys me personally because I honestly felt like the Raptors had a chance to give the Nets some trouble, and I always like to see the Nets lose.
The Heat. It annoys me as well because the Pacers pick is largely protected. Sorry, the Cavs pick that they traded to the Pacers is largely protected. So if the Cavs slip out the playoffs, that's going to make that Lillard trade look a little worse.
Hey man, you already got
that happens.
So we both struggling here.
For work right now for you guys. The Heat, they were down. They weren't down many bodies, but they were down some key bodies. They were down Tyler Hero, who, in my opinion, is their most natural, if not only natural, scorer on the roster. They always look terrible down the stretch of games when he's not playing. I think he played against the Nets, however, and that was his first game back. And usually when he misses some time, I found a trend with him when he comes back after a good little break. He never plays well the first game back. So I wasn't expecting much from him, and they lost that game terribly. As if I have it right. I'm pretty sure that was his first game back. But they lost that game terribly. Like, the Nets ran through that. Like, it's crazy to think about. I'll talk about it a little bit more later if I get a chance. But yeah, Gabe Vincent was the other person that was out. As much as people talk about, as much as people do not talk about Gabe Vincent, I should say, when Kyle Lowry's off the court, he's the closest thing they have to a backup point guard. And he does steady the ship a bit. And he isn't someone who can put the ball on the floor and go get his own bucket in a lot of different ways. So I personally miss his presence. I know that the team did as well. And the biggest thing that they missed is their championship head coach. He had to step away for a game against, I think that was a game against the Nets. He wasn't there. Also because his son was having a slight medical procedure, so he was not there. And the team, honestly, it was night and day. They looked like a shell of themselves. Next, we have the Boston Celtics. What can I say? They were on one of the craziest streaks I've seen in a while. I mean, in a long while. They jumped straight from 11th to the first seed in the East, and they were looking like, the team to beat in the East. In my opinion, like it might have been some recency bias, but recency bias intact, I could say they were the team to beat coming to the East. Like there was nothing the Celtics couldn't do. They had a scorer in Jason Tatum, like an ace, a go-to guy. They have another one in Jaylen Brown who can pick up a slot where Tatum is not, and I think they're going to replicate him. They have someone who's getting everyone touches in Marcus Smart, who has developed into that role. That's a word to the Celtics developmental program. We have Al Horford steering the shit. He's their vet. He's the guy that can lead.
Oh man,
In the own way, yeah. He's their OG in the locker room, which every young team needs. And then you had Robert Williams, who was playing his tail off. That man just came out of nowhere looking like a defensive player of the year candidate. And I have no idea what got into him or what someone told him. I was like, yeah, yo, go be great. And my mom was like, all right,
top 3 blocks.
Yeah, like the man just came out of nowhere and I actually, fun fact, I actually don't know what his injury is, but I do know he's out.
A meniscus tear, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah, meniscus tear.
Yeah. Indefinitely. So
Indefinitely, after 3 to 4 weeks.
I don't know.
It's indefinite. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah.
He's their what you call it, anchor. Yeah, he's a defensive anchor. So
for sure.
That to me was why they were being so elite, because their defense was just stifling people. They were
that's very good.
How many games did they? Someone check real quick and tell me how many games the Celtics lost in the past couple of games, because in
the last 10 they were 8-2.
That's crazy. Like, and were the last 2 games?
I just lost last night, so yeah.
It was probably the last 2 games that they lost. They were on a crazy tear, and again, injuries just play a huge part. As you can see, the Bulls are still hurt. They still don't have Lonzo Ball back. They have Caruso. They have Vooch. They added some guys, and Patrick Williams finally came back, and he looks amazing, in my opinion. So it's kind of like a bit of they kind of steadied the ship a bit, but I think Lonzo will be the person to, like, kind of get them back to where they were. Like, I think that's one piece that's really missing, and honestly is a big piece, because DeMar having to bring in the ball and then go to work, and DeMar just being able to get the ball in his spot and go to work is 2 different DeMars. He's elite from both perspectives, but more elite if he could just catch the ball and go to work. Other than that, man, I can't. John Collins for the Hawks. I don't know if he's back yet. I don't know when he'll be coming back, but injuries are really shaking up the Eastern Conference right now, and at the worst possible thing. Hopefully,
I don't think he would make much difference for the Hawks. So I think the Hawks are probably struggling regardless.
Yeah, but yeah,
I would want.
The thing is, right?
This is the first time I want the Hawks to perform. If you know that the Nets are in the I want the Nets to lose. I do not want the Nets to come out of the play. I want them to go home. And that's not. I can't stop saying this enough. That is not a price for coming first. Having to play the Brooklyn Nets is not a price for coming first. They need to go home.
Well, at this rate, they may have a shot to reclaim to 7th, maybe. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, not only 7th, but they may be able to get to the Raptors. But the Raptors will go like.
I don't think they do. I don't think they get as high as 6.
I mean, technically they can, but it's just unlikely with the amount of games.
Yeah. With the amount of games left, really, it would be kind of hard. But with 7 games left,
completely sink. Yeah,
they're 5 games behind the Raptors right now. I don't know.
Right, and there's only 7 games to play.
Like Raptors would literally have to lose all 5.
So they literally can't catch Raptors right now.
Nah, because like if Raptors lose and Nets win, and I don't know if they have to play them.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's technically, it's very unlikely though. It's like a 85% chance of that they won't get that.
Yeah, it's more like the Bulls have to go on the slate. I think the Raptors and the Bulls are tight, so the Bulls are probably more likely to.
And the Bulls actually won the game against the Wizards thing, so like that don't help them either. I mean the Nets either. So yeah.
So that is the East with Avenger number 1. And now Avenger number 2, who is pulling out his what we call the Steven Adams look. What about the West? What's happening in the West there, Avenger number 2?
Funny little quote from Steven Adams. Somebody was talking to him about like it's rebounding is a science, like from Dennis Rodman, and I hope he like watches the ball and comes off the rim. And Steven Adams said, "Look, man, I just stand there, get the ball. You know, science behind it. I just stand there.
Let's keep
Just
it
stand there and
simple.
get the ball.
Yeah, Steven Adams is a funny guy. He's always been a funny guy. So trending down because I'll start the losers first. The Blazers have lost 4 in a row. The Jazz have lost 4 games in a row. We can talk about that a little later. And the Warriors have lost 3 games in a row. May not talk about that. Ain't too sure yet. The Suns have won 8 games in a row. And definitely talk about that. Grizzlies have won 5. And the Spurs have won 4. Slightly conflicted. We'll definitely talk about that a little later because they're actually winning games, so I have to talk about them a little bit. The standings have not changed much. The Mavs are now in 4th, Jazz are in 5th. But that wouldn't change really their matchup. Considering the 4 and 5 always they would play each other. The Spurs, because of the Lakers getting their butt whooped against the Mavs, are going to be 11th and the Spurs be 10th. So the Spurs would then be in the play-in as of now, and the Lakers will be in 11th. Those are the only changes. Team of the week, Suns went 3-0 once again. To win 8 games in a row. I'm more tempted to give the team of the week, especially when they came off a week behind the Wolves, Nuggets, and 76ers. I think that those are 3 very good teams that you can have under your belt. Player of the week, Devin Booker. Averaged 37 points per game, 6 assists on 58% shooting.
Booker.
Yeah, definitely. He has been carrying the. I think since Chris Paul, the stretch in which Chris Paul was out, he averaged 28 points per game. He started off the season slow, averaging 23, even though the Suns were still winning. But then he kind of turned it up from the beginning of January. From January, he's averaging 28, which is fairly good. MVP tracker. I got my top 5. I got Jokic, 1, Embiid, Giannis, Ja Morant, and Tatum. Now, interesting about that, right? There was I saw an article from ESPN where they did like a poll on the media members, kind of like simulating a vote. And it's not the actual vote, but it's a pretty good indicator from where the voters' kind of mindset is at. And it had Jokic leading. He had 860 votes. Embiid had 716, and Giannis had 593. So right now, the way how it's looking like Jokic may be back-to-back MVP. Obviously, things can happen in those 7 games where either the Nuggets could slide, the Bucks could go on the surge, 76ers could go on the surge, vice versa. That might make it a little closer, but I think Jokic is in the lead right now in regards to that.
I didn't want to put in a plug here for our coaching session because we all agree that about midway through the season that Jokic seemed to be the front runner. So we were really on the ball there.
Definitely.
Right. Because I think, everybody, more or less agreed that, he's doing a lot with a little. So he is, I in all intents and purposes, I think he should be the league MVP.
And I think we can confirm that none of us were contacted on that ESPN straw poll.
Yes, for sure.
Hey, at this point, we should have a vote. I mean, come on, let's get it right. So
shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of, somebody said something about that. Embiid only got Harden late. He only had him for like 7 games, and they said, well, those 7 games that Embiid had Harden is still 7 more than he had Murray for the entire season. So I don't understand that whole bringing that argument there. Yeah. Okay. So we talk about the Grizzlies and the Jazz a little bit. Jazz kind of having a down year. They were the number 1 seed last year, but something just seems amiss. I saw reports about their locker room having chemistry issues. Gobert and Mitchell at odds again, but not. I don't know. It's tough because Jazz doesn't really get a lot of media like airtime. So I guess we don't really know about the inner works about them compared to the other team. Yeah, it's Utah. Sorry, Utah fans, but
What Utah fan?
yeah. So the Grizzlies, however, have been on a tear. Ja Morant 6 out games, and apparently they're still really, really good. Tyus Jones is a very good backup point guard. I said even from when he was at Duke, I think that his ceiling could be a really good, a very, very solid backup point guard that could fill in for a starter at any time for like a few games. And that is exactly what he's doing for the Grizzlies, and he's doing it fairly well.
Desmond Bain playing like an MVP now too.
It's Desmond Bain, most improved player candidate. The Anthony Melton comes off the bench and he plays well whenever Ja isn't playing. And I saw a video that was he in the limited minutes, right? I didn't know this, especially from fantasy. In the limited minutes that he plays, right? He gets he plays like 20 minutes and averages 1.7 steals or something like that. He just gets steals just like just a short span of time, right? Yeah, his steal percentage is very, very high. I saw it was something that was a player that it was talking about players that have redefined their game, right? And they brought up Steven Adams in terms of his passing. The Grizzlies actually run their offense a lot through him, like in terms of like handoffs into like pass for cuts. Like he's actually an integral part in the offense, whereas to previous years where it was at the Thunder, he would just mainly be the roller and the screener, and then that was kind of it.
That's kind of weird that they said really funny because he used to do that at OKC when it was just him and Russ.
Nah, but not to the passing that he's at right now. Like he barely used to average any assists. He's averaging almost 4 assists.
But he wouldn't have been allowed to.
Yeah, like he wasn't really like when I say integral part, I mean like the offense really kind of almost like not runs to him because obviously they got Ja and other people, but it's a lot different to how they look from my OKC.
I just meant like when they say redefine, that's a funny term to use because I've seen him do this a lot in the past. It's just obviously when you have a Westbrook, like you're not gonna give Steven Adams the ball just to make Westbrook cut. But yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
You make a good point because Westbrook doesn't really play very well off the ball, and you probably need a few more of those type of guys to really play off.
Yeah, somebody has to tell Lakers. Somebody should have given Lakers that. Somebody should have given Lakers that little tidbit before they made the trade. Anyway,
hey, all the teams have the same score. All the teams are scope, so that's cute.
Yeah, they needed a major scope, though. I don't think they had the records.
Talking about the Suns just a little bit because Chris Paul is back and they are rolling, but this also ties into whereas the East is kind of having players kind of out. The West kind of got back 2 players in general. Chris Paul and Paul George is actually supposed to make his debut. Yep, he's coming back against the Jazz. Sorry, not debut. Return. My bad.
Yeah,
good old Jazz because that's his favorite team now.
Bad shot. Oh no, that's the wrong team.
The Clippers, right, are a team which I'm not sure. I'm not gonna say that they're the favorite or anything, right? But the Clippers with Paul George is not necessarily a team that you want to face this early, because that Clippers team is the same team that pushed the Phoenix Suns to 6 games without Kawhi. Like they like that Clippers team is literally the exact same team, except that they got Robert Covington, and there's a possibility that they may get back Norman Powell. So they might even be better, like slightly better than last year. But that's not necessarily a team that you want to fail. I'm not saying that they're gonna win, but the longer series goes on, the longer something can happen. Look at the Bucks and the Nets. That was a 2-0 series, and then all of a sudden Kyrie gets hurt. Completely different series. So those that's not a team that you really want to face in the first round. And last thing I want to talk about the Lakers.
Wait, before you move on,
Yeah.
really quick before you move on, just a quick note. I just wanted to be said that on that note about Norman Powell and Paul George coming back. Well, Norman Powell possibly coming back and Paul George actually coming back. I read a report that said that it is very possible that Kawhi Leonard could return right after the play-ins.
I heard that. I saw that as well.
And
I saw that as well.
That's going to turn the West on its head.
Yeah.
The Clippers are currently in, and that's basically the same thing that's happened in the East. That shouldn't be your price for coming first. That should not be your price for coming first. Facing a normal Powell, Reggie Jackson, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard-led Clippers team, the Suns.
I think the Suns are a little better team than the teams that you're talking about in the East, though. I just saying. I don't want to be blasphemous or anything, but I'm just saying that. I don't think the Suns can really be worried and losing sleep over the fact that those guys coming back. They will probably win one game.
Let me just make it clear, right?
Because I don't think that Kawhi gonna be in shape to play at the Suns.
The only way the Suns do not have a problem on their hands with those three coming back is if they are not informed.
If they're informed, that's a different story. That's a different story.
Have to watch this.
If they're informed, they can win 2 games, and if they're not informed, they can just get swept. So
if they're informed, I'm saying the 2 games. If that Clippers team could push the Suns to 6 games last year without Kawhi, if they are informed, I am not.
There is supposed to be a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. Nobody never say it yet. So we'll wait until those guys come back and they play, and we will see if what you're saying is correct. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
Right.
I just want to say what about the Lakers and the Spurs.
Mm-hmm.
I messaged Tehron, right? And I told Tehron in the group chat. Remember when I said last night? If I didn't hate the Lakers now, before, I definitely hate them now. I am not trying to get in the plane. I am trying to get a lottery pick. This is this draft class is really good. We already have, we have 3 first round picks, right? 2 in the 20s, and this one would be in the one that we own would lottery? Be yes, if we get in the lottery. So obviously a lottery pick, you could do so much with a lottery pick. You could keep it, you could package it with a player and another pick, trade for somebody else. You can do a lottery. Sounds really good, even if it's 13th. So, but the Lakers are so bad that they were just losing and putting me what makes it worse, right? The schedule is not in favor for the Lakers at all. Not including the Rockets game last night. The Spurs' next 4 games would have been the Rockets, which we won, Grizzlies, Trailblazers twice. I literally could win 3 out of the 4 of those games. You know who the Lakers have to face? Dallas, up 20-something. Pelicans, Jazz, and Denver. They could literally lose all 4 of those.
No, not literally.
I hate the Lakers. No,
that literally. Any lead that you can find, that can happen.
I'm trying,
but you see, things you're not trying very hard, right? Because you're winning all these games in a row.
Not gonna tight. Come on,
you're winning all these games in a row. You're not resting in your players. I mean, none of your guys have any lower back soreness or
right has broken liver.
Right knee management. I mean, you don't have any things going on. I mean, I don't understand what this is.
The only saving grace, there is a saving grace. If I get into the play as the 10th seed, right? If I lose that first game, I still in the lottery. So I still there's hope. There's hope. Once I don't make the playoffs, that's good. The playing is now that I think about it, even if I made the playing, if I get knocked out, then it would still be in the lottery. So that is saving grace. As long as they don't make the playoffs itself. So that's all to report out west. I don't like the Lakers anymore. Well, I never did. Wasn't a huge fan, but
just a little advice. Do what the Pacers are doing. Only put 8 players out there. Make sure about 4 of them are. Make sure about 4 of them come from the G League, and you should be good to go.
Yeah, yes. Apparently that's the move now. I think the Bajan Scout got the inside scoop, so you can follow that. Right, so that's East and the West. But at the line tonight, we want to speak to the Phoenix Suns. Is the Phoenix Suns the team, the favorite to win the NBA title? And if they are not, who you see beating the Phoenix Suns? And then we can start with the Bajan Scout because he's the man, that has all the statistics. He will tell me, put me straight.
I think they're probably the favorite to come out on the West, but I think the Dallas Mavericks are probably their greatest threat on the West. If they're in a series with the West, if they're in a series with the Dallas Mavericks, there's a chance the Mavericks could have the best player in that series with Luka. And Luka's playing at extremely high level right now. So I think that is going to be a little tough for them to get over. I think Dallas is going to probably be their greatest threat in the West. If they do make it to the finals, I like the Bucks coming out of the East. And I mean, the Bucks they can overcome the Bucks last year. So I'm not sure if they're significantly better that they can get over that Giannis hump, particularly if Giannis takes it up to that level he was at last year. And I mean, he was playing with a knee injury last year. Let's not forget that. So I won't go as far as saying that they're favorites. They're definitely up there, but they're going to have their hands full with the Mavericks and in the East. I think whoever comes to the East, but I think particularly in the East, the Bucks will probably give them the biggest run for their money. Probably the Heat. I'm not as sold on the Heat right now. They're struggling a little bit. Jimmy wants to fight his coach. Hazen wants to get on as well. I'm not quite sure what's going on there right now. So.
So just with that intro from the Bajan Scout, we go straight to Tehron King. You tell me who you feel. You feel that the Suns are the favorites, or some team out in the East that is playing Miami could win?
Guys. In all reality, right? I think the favorite to win the NBA title in 2022, it has to be the Sacramento Kings for obvious reasons. I'm kidding. We can't go a whole session without mentioning the Sacramento Kings.
We can't.
Look at the Kings. We almost did it. It's like a company policy at this point. But no, seriously. The Suns are honestly, and I said this at least 3 times this week to 3 different people. The Suns are the most perfectly built NBA team I've seen in a long time. They have a leader at point guard, an absolute maniac at the 2. They have 2 wings at the 3 and 4 that are 3 and D, and they have a very talented big man. And then their bench, it has not only a 6-man, but they have both defense and more shooting, and more playmaking. That team is built so well, and it just works so well together. And their coach is a genius. So and it's not very often you see teams like that come together. I think that they have to be the favorites just because of how they're built and how they're performing. If you're talking about threats to them, I have to go on the West side. I have to go Mavericks. I actually have a pretty lengthy list though. I have to go Mavericks because of how well they've been playing. They were the #1 defense in the West at one point, and Luka Magic. Let's just be real. Luka makes that team. Once he's playing and he's healthy, I think that they have a chance. That team's scary when at its best. I cannot sleep on the Golden State Warriors. It just feels wrong. Like, they've been doing this thing for so long, and I just feel like they have a gear they can go to. Clay looks good enough, in my opinion, that when Steph is healthy and doing his thing, and Draymond is there to facilitate 2 of them, I give them a chance against anyone, and I mean anyone in 7 games. That's the truth. I feel like Draymond can plug their defense to just well enough that their offense can make a difference. if they are healthy. So I can't go without mentioning the Warriors. I would not sleep on that Grizzlies team. That Grizzlies team is I'm not going to always say they can beat them in 7 games. I think that the brain trust of the Suns is overall is going to just outthink that younger team. But I wouldn't sleep on them. They're explosive and they're exciting, and we'll see when it comes to them. In terms of the East, there are only 2 teams. I want to say 3, but I won't. I'm going to say 2 teams that I think give them a threat. As Alan said, the Bucks. Another team that's built really well. Their coach is not as good though. That's the only thing that would probably be to their detriment. And again, any team with Curry and KD, in my opinion, has a chance to go all the way at their best. I still don't believe in Brooklyn's defense. I still don't believe in Steve Nash. So maybe them to a lesser extent. But to me, we might get a rematch of the Bucks and the Suns in the NBA Finals again.
That would be interesting. So what do you think, Avenger number 2? Do you think that, what do you think?
The 2 guys, Bajan Scout and Tehron made some very good points. So you can just kind of pick it back a little bit on what they said. I don't think they're the right out favorites. Like obviously, if you got the Suns versus the field, I can pick the field. But the West right now, I think they are favored. Alan started off with the Mavs. Tehron also mentioned as well. I think the Mavs, because of the point where Luka would be the best player in the series. I think that's always big. Like whenever you have the best player in a series, you have a chance. Like you understand, and Luka is that special, especially in the playoffs. He always turns his game up to a whole another level. And I think maybe the pieces that they added in terms of Porzingis, right? Spencer and Bertans are not as talented as Porzingis, but I think in a way they fit better because maybe of their roles and another guard named Spencer that can create and defend. I think that could really help the minutes where Luka may be off, or even just giving him a break while he's on the court, so he doesn't have to run, like do everything. Like those teams where your offense run through one person, kind of that LeBron James Cavs syndrome, right? In the playoffs, it can be stopped, as we have seen in the past, because when teams say, all right, Braun, you can get yours maybe, but like being a shut out everybody else, then it's not else, or the reverse. Anybody but Braun, then is like, the team falls apart. But the Suns, Tehron mentioning the Warriors, if they are healthy, I agree. If the Warriors are healthy, but and the Grizzlies, because at this point, right, the Grizzlies, I honestly don't think that the Grizzlies even understand how good they're playing. I don't think they understand the expectations or the pressure. I think they're just a young team that is just having fun, and that could be a good thing and a bad thing. It could be a bad thing because they may not like experience and stuff may think when it gets like that sort of thing, because they don't have any playoff experience really. But the good thing is that they may see it as they have no pressure and they could just really just go there and play and have fun and free, and they just watch off everybody. This should be a very funny thing. Like imagine we thinking about the Suns and this team and the Grizzlies just walk their way to like the finals and only lose like 2 games. That would be actually pretty funny.
They play about money for sure.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, I would also give a donkey Ribena, but if you give a donkey Ribena, it's still a donkey. You're just, right? So, as I tell, right, as they say, you gotta like, we can have a lot of scenarios, right? But it's the days, on the time is the, we seem to have lost Avenger number 2. I don't know.
You knock him off the court with that one.
Yeah, he dropped straight off. But that is at the line. At the line tonight, we can all agree that Phoenix may be the favorites, but they still have, 1 or 2 teams that could upset the apple cart. I am not sure any of them in the East, in the West, though, to be honest with you. I think the more in the East. I'm not sold on Golden State. Golden State is having issues now, obviously with health and some sort of chemistry issues, because they will have some problems when the chef comes back, because Jordan Poole really should start, and if you start him, then it means that they will be starting really small. So they have some. They
has to go to the bench, I think.
Right, and then somebody will go to the bench, and then that would not be.
And Clay is not bench player as far as he's concerned.
Right.
So.
Well,
Yeah,
of course.
there.
I mean, like, she's on. You can't put Clay Thompson on the bench unless he says he wants to go to the bench. Anyway, but we can all agree. We can all agree that Phoenix is right now is the favorite team, and it is theirs to lose. However, as usual in the quarter session, our final session usually is pick 5. Last week, again, Avenger number 2, he was the top guy. He picked 4 to 5.
Who is he at this point?
And then it was 2 to 5, 3 to 5, and I will not embarrass anybody else to see who did what. But this week, we are having 5 more picks, and probably this is either the last or second last time we'll be doing some picking. So the first thing we want to do, well, picking regular season games, that is.
Yeah.
So the first game we are going to have in the pick 5 is Orlando at Washington. Orlando at Washington. I see eyes roll and everybody's starting to put pen to paper and start figuring out. Just pick one. So let me start with you, Alan Pinder, Bajan Scout. Which one, Orlando or Washington?
I'll go Washington Wizards.
Okay, I'll go Washington. You're not been batting very well, though, Alan. You have to let you know. And,
yes.
What about you there, Tehron King?
I forgot Orlando had a basketball team, to be honest. I'll go watch. I'm not even kidding.
And dimension number 2, Kelan Phillips, who you going with?
Yeah, with the Wizards, man. I ain't even no basketball reason. Like literally, I just picking the Wizards because
so you.
Alan, if you want to do good, just pick whatever I pick. Come on.
Okay, so Alan Pinder picked the Washington Wizards. Tehron picked the Wizards, and you are picking the Wizards too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Orlando.
Well, I am fairly far behind, so I am not going to play. I'm not pulling that pick today. So I'll go with the Wizards too. Thursday, we have Milwaukee at Brooklyn. That's the big game of the week. Milwaukee at Brooklyn. Or one of them, at least. Remember that Kyrie's not able to play home games. So let's go. We start with you there, Avenger number 2. What do you think? Yeah, it's not one of the picks.
Hey, don't interrupt the genius right now.
Oh, okay, all right. I'll try not.
I usually go.
I
usually go with KD on the same, but I think the Bucks can actually win this one.
Okay, so Kelan going with the Bucks. What about you there, Tehron King?
The Bucks play offense and defense. The Nets just play offense. I'm going with the Bucks.
Yeah. What about you, Alan Pinder?
Yep, go to Milwaukee Bucks as well.
Okay. I got with Brooklyn.
You gotta catch up.
I don't worry about it. I don't worry about it. All I do, if I lose in, I just shut down the whole thing. Minnesota at Denver. That's another big game. I'll start with you there, Tehron King. What do you think?
Is MPJ back?
Not yet, but
No.
I don't know when. He could be. I honestly don't know when.
I don't think that can make a difference.
Oh, then you pick first then if it doesn't make a difference.
Which one? Who you going with?
I'm gonna go with the MVP because it's the MVP.
Okay, so you go with Denver. That's Tehron King. And what about you there, Bajan Scout Alan Pinder?
Yeah, I'll go Denver as well.
Oh, Denver. And what about you there?
Yeah, I gave it Denver too.
Okay, you going Denver?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Trent.
And I am going to
Yeah.
go with Minnesota.
Of course.
As I said, if it anything I see again beat, just finish it.
Well, you should say don't know then, because
Miami is at Chicago. I already penciled in Tehron came from Miami.
Smart man.
So who else? Who else will take
Yeah.
Miami?
I'm here as well.
Miami for Alan Pinder. What about you, Kelan Phillips?
you don't pick up the trains. Who plays for the Bulls? DeMar DeRozan. So I'm picking the Bulls.
Okay, so Kelan going with the Bulls. I will go with Miami. It's the only game that is the only NBA game I've watched live. So in Miami, so I go with Miami. There's no basketball reason. The only reason is that I got free tickets and I was able to go.
I mean,
So that means that I should just buy the Knicks all the time, Knicks and the Raptors, because I saw them play.
Yeah. Well, you could go with that, but
No.
notice that Knicks or Raptors ain't really here. The last game is Philly at the Cavaliers. Philly at the Cavaliers. I will pick first. This time I will pick Philly.
Yeah, he does.
So what about you there, Tehron King?
Philly.
Philly. Alan Pinder?
I need the Caps to win, so I'm going the Caps.
That's a real interesting pick. And Kelan Phillips, the man who's leading.
A part of me wants to pick the Cavs, so it'd be 2-2, but then with Mobley being out, I think 76ers got this.
Okay.
Yeah.
I ain't got my safe in James Harden. Generally in big games, but I pick the Cavs.
Well, that is the pick 5. It has been a very interesting pick 5, I must add. It's also been a very interesting show. So the next time I have a joke, I'll make sure I don't say it too hard so that Kelan Phillips, the Avengers number 2, will get knocked off. Right now, the court is adjourned.